We started out the mental imagery process here just to give you an example of the 1-minute life repair. And there'll be a mental imagery process associated with the disemergency state and one with the mental imagery per se for various issues in your life that you want to handle. And we'll try now one with the disemergency state. So now something happened today between the time you got up and the time you came here to our session. And what happened to you? There was some emergency that has taken place.
Was I going to get a cab?
Yes. Would
in
you get
order
a cab
to pick you up?
Yes. Would you get a cab to get here at 8 o'clock in the morning in the rush hour time in New York City, right? So in this disemergency state, you want to remove it and change it from being a false emergency into something that's gone, right?
Right.
So what is the image you see to change this emergency state, will I get a cab, to its opposite?
I actually see a cab in front of me pulling up as I get down to the corner.
And what happened?
That's what happened.
Yes. This is not an unusual occurrence by any means. This is the way it works. You are putting out, if you will, a prayer, because an image is a prayer given form. So you have engaged in a process of an intention for a cab to come. It comes or it doesn't come. It's what takes place. Usually the cab, if that's the situation where you're seeking to get it, it would come rather right away. Even if it's taking minutes and minutes of going by and no cab is coming, there's not been a fruition regarding that intention, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, in the mental imagery process, what's involved, as you've seen in these two examples, is that we're reversing something. We're reversing a belief. In both instances, we're reversing an emergency state. We're reversing a core belief about something troubling us that's been a constant thorn in the paw, and it's been something we've been banging our head up against rather chronically most of the time, or it can be a situation that comes to us during the day that's difficult, and it's been around for a little bit, and we're trying to cope with it, right? Something that's currently made its appearance in our lives. All kinds of possibilities. Right. So now, what about a feeling? Has there been a disturbing feeling that you've had coming up just recently?
Anxiety.
Yes. Okay. So now, what does the anxiety look like? Note that, as we've mentioned through the course of this process, you can't really talk about a noun, an adverb, an adjective, an emotional state without there being an image connected to it, which is not the same for everybody. It is according to your own personal tendencies and proclivities and predilections, yes? So what image do you see with the anxiety?
I see like dark black tentacles.
Dark black tentacles. All right. So now you see these dark black tentacles, and what is the opposite of anxiety?
Calm.
So now change the anxiety to calm by reversing the image and transforming the tentacles in the direction that is associated to calm.
I see like a blue lake with nothing, no ripples on it.
Yes.
Calm lake.
Have the tentacles shifted into this lake?
Yes.
So they float out and they've expanded to become a lake.
Yes.
A calm lake, blue, you say?
Light blue.
Light blue. And tell me how you feel.
Well, I feel my body beginning to physically relax, like my shoulders go down. I feel lighter in my body. There's still anxiety in my solar plexus, or what I call anxiety.
Okay. Now, you notice so far how quickly this imagery process has been. And in this situation with the anxiety, we've asked her to change anxiety to calm. It took a matter of a couple of seconds, and she's experienced some shifts mentally and also physically. And she's still left with something, as she said, some kind of adverse feeling, ill feeling, uneasy feeling in her solar plexus. So now, what does that look like?
It's the image of the calm lake, but it goes deep down, and at the bottom it starts getting dark. So the blue starts to change into this dark murkiness.
So now change the dark murkiness and reverse it. She breathes out slowly.
And I see sunlight, and it seems to be opening up.
So the sunlight is penetrating into this depth, and the murkiness is clearing out.
Right. There's still, seems like back behind the sunlight, there's still some of that murkiness. And it feels like there's an obstruction there that I can't get the sunlight into.
Okay. You know that this is imagination and anything can happen. There are no rules that govern it. Anything can take place. So now how do you feel as the sunlight is penetrating and removing the murkiness, displacing the murkiness in general?
Lighter, more expansive, open.
And now the sunlight is being blocked from entering into this particular obstacle.
Yes.
What does the obstacle look like?
Like a wall.
Yes. And is this wall have a door?
No, but I have the feeling that if the heat could blast through the wall.
Ah, the heat of the sun.
Yeah, could blast through the wall.
So now breathe out one time slowly to give you more calm and see the sunlight and feel it blasting through the wall. And what happens?
I blast through the wall and there's a flowering tree on the other side.
Yes. And is the tree bearing fruit?
It's flowering, has white blossoms on it.
Yes.
And it looks like a young tree.
Can you smell the blossoms? Does it have a fragrance?
No, I can't smell the blossoms.
But you see that we were trying to use other senses.
Yes.
So do you hear anything there?
Like a slight wind.
Yes. And as this young tree is growing and bearing blossoms, white blossoms, how do you feel?
Young, new, blossoming.
So for a moment, become as this tree. Sense and feel what happens, and then come back to yourself and tell me how you feel now.
The tree is growing, and the blossoms keep getting more and more blossoms, and the tree goes higher and higher and higher. And then the wind comes and the blossoms just sort of drift off the tree.
And how do you feel?
At peace.
Good.
Peaceful.
Well, it's nice to see you peaceful and calm, and the anxiety has shifted.
Yes.
And there's now a new sense of being here that you're experiencing for a moment, which is non-habitual.
Yes.
So there is the possibility that you've discovered for something non-habitual and different to take place in your life.
Yes.
So this sense of newness is kind of like a new birth, in truth. It's a variant of this process of coming back from one state of being into another state of being. Coming back from a state where you are feeling shackled, obstacles, feeling bound up, tied up, constricted, and so on, to feeling growing, blossoming, expanding, moving, and so on. And that is akin to a resurrective process, in truth, that we go through when we do this imagery work. So we are really coming back to life.